back, everyone, to another episode of the Kuttin Krew.
Yes,
we are
Kuttin
back.
Krew.
We are here. This is Eric. Happy to be back in the booth again. Different kind of taste today. Not the sports podcast, but something a little different.
Yeah, and your boy Tristan.
What's up, guys? Keeping that shave closer than Karen parking next to you in the mall parking lot. It's your captain, Chris with a K.
And I'll follow that with, hey there, it's Lisa.
And it's your host, Carlos. You can't beat that. You guys cannot beat that. Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad that we are back. Do not forget, you guys, we are on iTunes. We are on Spotify, on YouTube. Just follow us at RazorCutInformation. And on iTunes, it's RCI Podcast. So let's give a quick pause and thank to our following sponsors.
Here at RazorCutInformation, we want to give a huge shout out to our good friend Taylor Cross over at Sierra Pacific Mortgage. As a top-notch mortgage loan originator, be sure to see Taylor for all your home loan and refinance needs. Call him at 316-648-2508 or email him Taylor, Taylor.cross, CROSS@spmc.com. To learn more, you can visit www.spmc.com/taylor.cross. And if you're here locally in Wichita, stop by at 800 East Douglas Avenue, Wichita, Kansas, 67202. Thanks, guys, and thanks, Taylor.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So, hey, Eric, we're in a tough times right now.
Very tough.
It's tough. Tristan, I mean, are you good at saving money?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I'm better than most, yeah.
Okay, Chris?
I don't know if I'm good at saving, but I'm good at not spending, if that makes sense.
That's part of saving.
Yeah.
You know, it depends. It depends on the category of the spending, and it depends on my mood, and it depends on, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Well, I'm glad she said that because we're going to talk about that, you guys. We're going to talk about the crisis that's going on and going forward, what could lead forward. So right now, we're going to target on ways to save, find out ways to be a little bit efficient and effective and fruitful on your finances. So let's go ahead. Let's gear this off towards you first, Eric. Eric, tell me one of the key things that you could say it's a strong skill of yours when it comes to money management.
I would say reading books. For me personally, reading the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover changed my life, to be honest.
I've heard good things about some of his stuff for sure.
Very good. One of the reasons why, not to toot my own horn, one day I got over an 800 credit score before I bought a house, and then it took a little hit. But, the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, the baby steps, real big on those. Just kind of writing out your expenses, I think, is where everybody should start personally, because you don't know where your money's going until you put it down on paper.
Wow, it's like that show Dragon Ball Z. This guy power level went up. That's amazing. Well, hey, congrats. How about you, Tristan?
I don't really read books, but I do have a book. I Rich Dad Poor Dad that I hear a lot of great things about.
Really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classic.
But I more follow just the 50-30-20 rule. I'm sure all you guys have heard of that.
Very good.
I feel like for me especially, it's really good to start out, and it can change depending on how much you make. So that's what I mainly follow for now.
Well, for the audience out there that may not know what that is, could you explain a little bit what that rule is?
Yeah, like 50% of what you make per paycheck, you put towards your needs. 30% would go towards like investing or saving, and 20% would go on what you want.
Gives you a little bit of all the different things that you need to do with your money, and not focusing it all on your wants, maybe, is what I think some people probably have.
Them Jordans.
Yeah.
It's 20% of something, or a couple of 20%.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of what Eric was saying about writing things out. If you can get it on paper, I mean, how are you going to save if you don't know where your money's going?
Exactly.
And some of the savings can be really easy if you look at it and you're like, I'm spending that much on this? Like, that's silly, whatever that much is and whatever that this is. I know for me, one of the big things originally was like making your own coffee in the mornings. I used to every morning, hit that $2-3 coffee, and then guess what? A bag of coffee does not count. It might cost $6 or $7, but it's going to give you a lot more than just a couple cups of coffee. I mean, you're going to get, hundreds of cups of coffee out of that. That lowers that cost down to, maybe a couple cents per cup
Yep.
of coffee, and then I can always make it the way I like it, and
It's the way you like it every
yeah,
time.
every time, and that cost of coffee really adds up, and that's kind of my thing. Is I'm a big make it yourself. Like if you can, not necessarily. I'm not a DIYer because my house would fall apart if that was the complete case. But I think there are some things like making a cup of coffee. It's not that hard. Coffee pots are pretty easy, simple to operate.
And it doesn't take that long.
Doesn't take, and if you're single, you can do a Keurig, and those are a little bit pricier. But when you compare it to Starbucks or Scooters or any of your other coffee supply shops, not that those are bad, but even for your health, they're not great. You really should limit that to occasional spending anyway for health reasons. But for your pocketbook too. I mean, 1 or 2 a week, that's one thing, but you hit 1 every day or 2 every day, you then need that afternoon pickup. And
That's right.
office coffee pot doesn't taste nothing like Starbucks. So
Yeah.
if you're running that sugar and caffeine high, you got to keep it going. So that's my big thing. And make a lunch. I mean, some peanut butter and jelly, ain't nobody starved eating peanut butter and jelly, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like it's like, I like all of these kind of different perspectives. Not that they're really all that different, but like the little bit that you can get from each thing. Like, how you guys were talking about writing things down. I feel like when the debit card entered into like the cycle, like I feel like just finances in general for people changed because you have to be so diligent. I don't write down every purchase with my debit card. Now I try to watch my bank account and I have a pretty good idea of when I spend, and where I'm going, but man, it just goes so much faster and you're like, what? That was just one weekend and there goes a couple $100. So writing things down, I think could make such a big difference. I don't do it and I have a toddler, so it's not going to happen in my life right now, but one day, I think that would be something that would
Well,
probably
back in the day when you had the cash and you're like, oh
cash
crap,
or a check.
This
Like-
cash is just like I saw it all. I had a big wad and now I have a little wad.
It's emotionally
And
like
that plastic just
yeah.
stays the same.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, I swiped it again. Looks the same to me. There's still the same amount of plastic there. I'll keep.
it's a mental thing. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like your rule that you go by with the percentages because I think that it factors in the want and it's kind of like the whole thing when you diet and you say, okay, like no sweets, no sugar, none at all. And then that's all you can think about. It's all you crave. And when you don't factor that into your budget, then it's all it is. You feel like I'm not getting anything I want and I can't have these things. And then you just end up like, it's no longer 50, 30, 20 or whatever. It'd
It's
be
100.
like, yeah, you're like, just spend it all. You get emotional about it. And, as a female, I think we tend to be a little more. I'll take that. And talking about making your own things at home. One of the things that I've tried really hard to do over the last couple of years, especially being a single parent with a little kid. Now, granted, he's pretty easy. He can eat the same things all the time. He doesn't care. He eats chicken and blueberries and, waffle. He eats the same thing, doesn't care. He's happy to eat the same thing because he knows what it tastes like and he doesn't care. But for me, one of the things that I found has helped a lot is to invest in good like kitchen appliances or accessories like an air fryer. And they're not really that expensive anymore. But like this is just an example. I make salmon in my air fryer. It takes 8 minutes and I put the seasoning I like, talking about making the coffee you like at home. I put the seasoning I like. It cooks it perfectly. It tastes to me better than it does at the restaurant. And then now I'm not tempted to go out to eat to have somebody else cook for me. It literally took under 10 minutes for me to make myself a really healthy,
Probably
tasty meal.
cost
I
half
love
Oh, yeah.
an air fryer.
or a
I
quarter.
love it.
Like it's like the thing to have as an air fryer, just because you can make so many different types of things in it. But that's how you save money. Like I bought a bag of individually wrapped frozen salmons. You're not getting fresh anything around here, so you might as well just
Not
buy
in-
the frozen stuff
Not in the
anyway.
fish department, no.
But a bag of frozen, I think it had 4 or 5 fillets, and it was $10. So I mean that's
Well,
$10 for 4 or 5 meals just for the main course is
exactly.
pretty
So,
affordable.
and that's kind of what I was talking about with the making your own coffee, like you said. But also, that's you're wind up. Not only are you saving money, but you're probably eating healthier when you do
Definitely.
Yeah.
So healthier. I mean, that's a great cost of savings when you're looking at just life savings. Usually, I know we can't get fresh fish, but when you're eating healthier, you tend to eat more fresh foods, and fresh fruits and vegetables are much less expensive than processed items. in the store, so that's a savings right there. If you're buying apples over chocolate bars, you're eating healthier and it costs less.
Definitely.
Well, and it's not only does it cost less, generally, if you eat better foods, you tend to eat less of them because they're more filling.
Yes.
The processed stuff, you end up eating probably twice as much because it takes more of that to get you full versus the fresh foods you're not going to eat as much of.
And any health insurance company is going to tell you that the healthier someone is, the cheaper it is to take care of them.
100%.
So all these things that add up, they wind up benefiting your health, which also in turn benefits your pocket as well as the lesser cost of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those things, if you're looking as a healthy thing, yeah, you can. And well, I mean, if you're doing it straight healthy, you can get into vitamins and all the nutri supplements, and those get costly. But if you're just eating healthier, it's going to save your pocketbook in several ways, I think.
In your life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
can potentially
You'll
save your
live
life.
longer,
Right.
more than likely.
What do you think, Carlos?
You know what? I'm glad you guys all brought this up. This is coming from someone that used to be a very compulsive spender. It was just terrible. I mean, I remember there was a time that my credit was bad. There was also a time where I couldn't even hold $20 in my wallet. It was a wrap. I had
Been
$20. Here we go. I'm gonna spend.
What are we going to spend it on?
Right. And so through time, I just had this epiphany in my life where I said, okay, you know what? I got to take hold. In the book, some of the David Ramsey's one of them, but also, believe it or not, reading the Bible itself. You know, God himself has mentioned about what money is. And one of the best advice that I got is money is a tool. It's a resource to have. Now, we all come different walks of life. Eric might have more than me, possibly. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm a big guy. And Dristan, you're young, upcoming. So everybody here is in a different aspect when it comes to it. But what I learned is I just look at it as a tool itself. I start learning how to bargain shop. So instead of buying upon compulsion, I started to become a bargain shopper. And also, as you get older, name brand things kind of become second, kind of like, it doesn't matter. And I've had fun with this journey and learning how to use what I have and make the best of it. And there was a program that I got into. It's called Acorns. I don't know if you guys heard of Acorns.
Sure. Ashton Kutcher.
Right?
Yeah.
And The Rock. The Rock. Well, The Rock is one of the
savings investment.
Yes. I've been able
application.
to save, put on the side. I want to give a shout out to John Terry out at Edward Jones. You have people there as well helping you along the way. Focus on retirement. Focusing on to be better financial stable. And also, I want to thank also to Self the credit, that company out there. Self helped out a lot. So anybody that would like a boost in their credit score, go to Self. I'm not paid to say it. I'm just saying to help our crew out. But overall, I'm just so thankful that there's just a lot of changes that's happened. You brought up about coffee. So, for example, here I'm drinking this drink here. We're not sponsored by Bang. I'm just saying it out there.
What you drinking?
I would go in there and buy a Bang every single day. And then I got put on notice there to say, hey, why are you buying one a day when you can go to your local vitamin shop or your Supplement World or Supplement Giant store here in town? I don't know if you guys have it to the audience out there, but here in Wichita, Kansas, we have these stores that sell the Bang here. Besides Quick Trip and your local gas stations, you could buy them in a pack. If you buy them in a pack,
It's cheaper.
you get points, and then on top of that, and then if you're
Just keep adding it up.
trying to curb your compulsion of grabbing whatever, you could have one a day. And look how much money you're saving. So if you're spending, let's say on average, this is $3 and you get a pack there, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, there's 7. And then you have more that's in there. You just saved yourself some money.
True that.
And another thing for the people that are out there, gas. I don't know if you have anybody that knows this, but they'll put like $10. They'll put $10 in. Then they got to put money again. And then you're just kind of like, hey, why don't you just put it all at once? You guys, you're going to save money more efficiently in the long haul. Just do it. Pay your dues. Fill up your car. That vehicle, that one with the 4 wheels, is going to appreciate you. I don't care if you're rolling hardcore, nice car, or it's beat up. If it's got 4 wheels and it's running, it's taking you from point A to point B. Be grateful and thankful that you have a vehicle.
Well, like you were talking about with buying the drinks in a larger pack. I mean, personally, I'm not necessarily great at saving money. It's just not something I'm great at. But I always try to look at the value. Like if I am going to spend my money, am I getting value for this dollar, or am I just throwing it away? Like you were saying, sometimes not necessarily always all about name brands, but sometimes it is worth, like that name brand is better. It does cost a little bit more, but it's going to last longer. I think about with shoes sometimes, like, I can get a $50 pair of work boots or a $200 pair of work boots. Well, 50 sounds a lot better, but they're going to last, only 6 months, and those $200 are going to last 6 years,
Right.
which is the better investment. Well, and that's something that people that are lower income have troubles with. Like, well, I'd like to get that $200. I can see that that's a better investment, but I can't afford it.
Right.
Like, I got to eat still, so I got to get this $50, and then I'm gonna have to get this $50 again, and that's something that I look at as the value of money, and that especially like when entertainment, things like that, like. I know guys go out to the strip clubs. I don't see the value there. Sorry.
Not a lot of value
That's
there.
subject to a whole nother level.
For me, it is. But I don't see the value there. I don't see the value in gambling establishments. And I know you can win. I know that they can be fun. But I'd rather sit around and play cards with my friends than to go
Drink
drop.
some bourbon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Then go dropping, a couple grand at a casino with nobody I know, with the chance that I might come out with something, which you're never really going to.
do.
In the long haul, if you do it regularly, you're not going to win. That's just not the way the house runs.
The house always wins.
The house, in the long run, the house always wins. So I think looking at the value of that dollar, like I said, like buying a coffee from Starbucks, $1 is only worth a third of a cup of coffee. But if I take that to the store and put it into coffee and my water bill, that $1's worth 10 cups of coffee. So that's what I tend to look, because like I said, I'm not great at saving money necessarily, but I feel like I'm pretty good at value. And I feel good when I'm like, oh, I got a good value for that $1. Like I thought I was getting a little cheap, but I wound up getting the good value. I invested it wisely. I went with off-brand, but I found the things that I wanted in that off-brand. So anyway, just thought.
Those are some good points. And also, speaking of entertainment, so I'm going to ask you, Lisa, what is an entertainment, perhaps to the audience, that you could help them maybe find a second option? Let's just say like you like to go to the movies a lot and you like to go at prime time. So you're spending what on an average $15, $20.
Yeah.
Easy.
Do you have
20 in
something
bigger markets, for sure.
perhaps you can encourage our audience or viewers to maybe change a little bit or make some modifications? Like for example, here at the Regal, I believe it's Tuesdays, you can go watch the same movie. So instead of going on a Friday, Saturday, crazy time, you can go on a Tuesday and it's only $5 compared to the
All day.
15, 20. Mm-hmm. So do you have any suggestions?
I think, yes, what comes to my mind is kind of that delayed gratification of stopping and thinking about, okay, is this where I want to spend my money right now? Is this worth it to me? Or can I change the day that I go? Can I change the time that you go? I mean, it's just like whenever, when you go to look at plane ticket costs, there's always that little thing that says alternate dates. They want to lure you over there for, okay, if you can fly on Tuesday to Thursday instead of Friday to Sunday, it's going to save you a lot of money just because of the fewer amount of people that are traveling then. So I think just with all of this, just being aware and not, as much as you can help it, not allowing yourself to get to an impulsive situation. Or if you do find yourself in an impulsive situation, because you've been aware other times, you're aware of kind of where you're sitting and what you're doing. And is this something that I can do? Even though it's like somebody just said, hey, let's go to Vegas this weekend. And you're like, do I have the money for it? Let me think about it. And you're like, yeah, let's go. Because you've been saving, because you've been thinking about it, because you've done programs to help you get out of debt or, things like that. So I think just being aware. And I mean, we all know, if you want to talk about movies, there's Netflix, there's things like that. Now, I'm not promoting to go watch whatever the ones are called that are always in
Pirating.
Japanese with,
Subtitles.
with the subtitles. I'm not saying to not give the money to the filmmakers in the legal appropriate way. But, there's always a way to do something, or to say to yourself, I can wait till it comes out on Netflix. And especially right now after this pandemic, I feel like the world has kind of shifted into not having to do things always the same way. And they've realized that people, you know, over the last 2 years, people have really had to start looking at ways to save money. And so companies, they're not unaware of that. And so I feel like companies are trying to be more creative with how they allow you to spend your dollar with them. They're having to be, because they're businesses, so they have to stay afloat too. So they're trying to find ways. Like you guys were talking about coffee, and it made me think, my sister and I talk constantly, but she'll tell me, oh, it's you know, double points day or double stars day, or this at Starbucks, at Target, and you know, lattes are 10% off through the Target app or whatever. And she said something one day, and she said, oh, if I get this many more stars, I get this many points. And I was like, really? I was like, you only get like 50 points? I said, mine said 125. And she said, yeah, everybody's is a little bit different. And I was like, really? I didn't realize that they're, because I don't go as often, God bless my sister and my brother-in-law who works at Target, but she's at Target a lot. So she tends to go to Starbucks more often. So because she goes there more often, her incentives are lower. I don't go very often, so my incentives are higher. So
they want you to go.
They want me to go. And I was like, that's disgusting. I was like, but it works, because I'm like, ooh, I could get, you know, 150 points or this many stars or whatever their system is that shows you how often I go. You know, I could get all of these, and then if I get so many, I get a free drink or this off or a free coffee cup or whatever. And I was like, I see you, Starbucks. I see what you're doing with your stars, and you're trying to get you. They do. And so I really feel like companies, for, you know, good, bad, right or wrong, it's not mine to decide, but they've really had to be creative over the last 2 years with getting people's dollars.
So I think what, Lisa, the point that you really made is something that my mom told me. You have to be a smart consumer. You have to do your research. You have to find out the best times, the best places. My mom started it with flights. You know, she told me a long time ago, if you can fly on Tuesday, you'll save $200 versus flying on Friday. So being a smart consumer, knowing for yourself, and then whatever you can cut out, don't do it. Because at the end of the day, at the end of that Friday, when you get your paycheck, you have more than $20 in your pocket. You might have $200, and then you can use that for the next week. You know what I mean? That's something I saw early in my military career, where it was, you know, Monday, I got $40 in my pocket, and my tank's on E. Am I going to go out to lunch with my friends? I'm going to put gas in the tank to get me to work. Right. And so, you know, obviously after I read those books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Total Money Makeover, Richest Man in Babylon, Cash Flow Quadrant, a couple other books that I'll throw out there when I think of them, it makes a change. And the next thing you know, it's that Friday before you get paid, and you have $500 or $1,000, and you can I can go get that steak. I can go get that bottle of bourbon. I can go to the Cardinals game or the Chiefs game, or go to Vegas, you know, this weekend and have fun. So there's props to saving, you know, if you do it right.
Those are some good points. Those are some very well points. So Tristan, you know, you're the kind of the young guy here in the crowd. What are the things that you've learned since you've been able to apply this? What's one of the big takeaways?
One of the biggest takeaways is basically invest in yourself. And when I mean in yourself, I mean like, you know, go spend something on yourself because you deserve it. I mean like learn a new skill. Read a bunch of books so you know how to save more money, how to make more money, or, you know, learn a new skill that could become a side hustle and make you more money. Or like me, I sort of see going to college as investing. I'm investing in a skill, so that way I can have a good job in the future when I graduate. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just, you know, invest wisely and invest in stuff that will help you make more money or save more money.
I think that's, like, for you only being 21 and being able to so easily and confidently say that, like,
it makes me so mad.
I know. Thank you. I'm like, God, I was so stupid at 20. And I mean, because that's so huge. That's going to, like, talking about investing in yourself. That's something that, I mean, we're just getting the hang of. I can only speak for myself, but, you know, at 40, gosh, you know, I think if I had 20 years of that mentality under my belt, like you at 40, you're going to be like
set.
Oh my gosh.
I hope so.
You know, and it's such a lesson that, and the good thing is you really can start that mentality at any age. And it's maybe not as popular of a book or as well known of a book, because I'm a huge fan of all the ones that you guys were talking about. But I talked about it on one of the other podcasts I was on, and it's by Maina Francis, isn't it? And it's called Riches, the F Word. But what I like about it with her is it's changing your attitude towards money, and that you don't have to be so emotional about it, and that there's so much money out there, and that it's not a good or a bad. Like you're saying, it's a tool. And so when you learn how to quit being so emotional about it, and like she talks about, like sometimes debt is okay. If you decide, you know, if you don't have the and now she has a lot of money. So, you know, she, I think it's a little easier to say debt is okay when you have a lot of money, but that's just me. You know, she's saying if you make the conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to do this with the intention of, I'm not staying in debt. I'm just paying this off in payments, excuse me, instead of one large lump sum. If you consciously make that decision, that's different than, oh, well, I can't afford this right now, but I'm going to buy it anyway.
Right.
And just your attitude and your energy towards money and investing in yourself and choosing yourself. That's one of the main things I like to tell people is like, invest in yourself. Like it's a win-win. It always is.
And there's multiple avenues. I mean, here, like Tristan, you nailed it. And I appreciate you bringing that up. Learn a new skill. If there's something that you're good at and you're willing to offer it as a service. I mean, right now I have a friend that he worked for someone painting, and shout out to him, Chris and the family. He just said one day, hey, you know what? I'm so good at this and I've gotten the hang of it. I'm going to just start my own business, and then being fruitful on that. So that's awesome. Another friend of mine works on cars. Start changing oil, start learning to do brakes. Exactly. Just learning skills to help him better himself out in the market. And that's something that we want to tell you guys, that if you believe that, okay, I'm just going to get another job, well, you're trading in his time. That's time. What we're saying is if you're good at something, a skill, it doesn't matter if you're baking something or you're knowledgeable, that you could start tutoring people. There's always, like you said, there's always opportunities to gain money. And it's just all about being able to learn new skills and being able to invest in yourself. And when you say invest in yourself, at the end of the day, I mean, you have to take care of you, because if you don't take care of you,
nobody's going to do it.
No one's going to do it. So that was a good point, Tristan. I got to hand it to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of COVID, Lisa made me think about this, and Chris as well. I lived in Chicago for a couple years, and it was like 2019 halfway through, and I was like, man, I got a taste for a deep dish Chicago pizza. And I was like, let me look up my favorite place. Again, not sponsored, Lou Malnati's.
Oh, we
Right?
just had some of those.
Oh, so good, but you can get it you can get it shipped to your house.
Oh, that's how we had it.
Right, and it's like what, $120 for 3 pizzas?
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
And
Lord.
I was like, I'm not going to do that.
And they're not like super mega huge pizzas,
No.
but they
Like
are
it.
delicious.
And I was like, I'm going to get on YouTube and I'm going to teach myself how to make a Chicago deep dish pizza.
Oh, nice.
And it took me about 3 times. And it's not as good as Lou Malnati's, but it's good.
But it's good.
You know, and so that
And
saved me.
saved you $100 right there.
Yes. You know, but it's just, you know, do it yourself and try and learn and have the effort and put in the time to try and, you know, because nobody was traveling. So I couldn't go to Chicago and go get one. And I didn't want to pay that much for shipping to have one, or have it get lost in the mail.
Right.
Because you see a
I would be surprised if it was lost.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just stuff like that you just have to try sometimes. And even if you don't know, you know, don't be scared. Just try.
And you guys nailed it again. Here's the thing, especially when it comes to food, you guys. I get it. Sometimes just it's all about the timing, or maybe you don't know how to cook. But like I said, you got YouTube. If you want to be able to start learning, just start basic. Start learning, or talk to your folks, talk to friends, talk to anybody. There's so many resources out there to start learning. Like, instead of going to a store, because I'm not going to dock any stores here. I can't do that because that's not right.
Going to Scotch and Sirloin every time.
Let's just Scotch and- let's just say, for example, a protein shake. Let's just throw it out there. You can go to a store Go to a place and they'll make it for you. How much is it? $5, $6 bucks.
Easy, yeah.
Go buy you a tub of protein. How much is that? $25, $30 bucks. What do you
Depends.
say around there?
But it's got 100 servings or something
Right.
like that.
You see, there goes
So
one.
That's 35 cents a serving.
And also, like
And then you got
making
some
your own
yogurt,
salads,
some-
making your own yogurts. But now also, I like how some of the fast food chains, they've gotten smart. Instead of, they knew already, like, okay, well, people used to, well, they may still are, I don't know. But when you look at the dollar menu, you notice it's getting a little healthier. Have you noticed that? They're
Little
starting
bit.
to twist it a little bit.
Fresher.
So, you guys, again, we're not docking about you going out and spending. We're just trying to say is to find ways to put some money back into your pocket. I know a way that I do. I don't know if you guys heard of it. There is the 52-week challenge. You can do you do is it starts with $1. That's all you have to do. If you get paid weekly, it goes 1 week, then $2 the second, $3, and so forth. After it's all done, if my math is not mistaken, someone will do it for me because I am not going to embarrass myself out on the radio.
Nope.
Wait,
Hard
what?
pass.
Do what?
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So $1.
A dollar a week.
$1 a week, but
Then
increments.
you'd have
it
$3,
raises.
then $7, then wait, no, $3,
Okay,
then $6,
you know what?
then $10, then
Look at Tristan. He's nervous over there. you guys.
$15
Like,
by
I
the
I think the audience right
By the
now
end
is
of the
thinking,
fifth.
oh, now I want to know. All right, so let me see if I'm gonna beat you guys out. I'm gonna try to beat you guys out.
I'm done counting
try
after
adding it
5.
all
I
up?
made it up to 5.
Okay, you made
You'd
it to
have
five.
$15 at 5.
Okay, you guys.
5
The
days.
number is
5
on-
weeks.
After the last payment of $52, you got $1,378 saved.
And that's going
in
into
1
a
year.
savings
No,
account
that's
or
just
into just an account. of
Yeah,
some-
just account or cash itself.
Chris,
But
have you
that is
heard of
the
the envelope
52-week
method?
the what?
The Dave Ramsey envelope method?
I've heard of it,
It's
yes.
kind of like what Tristan was talking about. You put it like, this is my grocery money and this is my entertainment money. And once that envelope's empty, you're done for the month.
I remember that was around a lot more often in the earlier 2000s when cash was a little heavier commodity.
Right.
I haven't seen it quite as much lately, but I think you can still do the same principle. You can just use paper to basically
Keep track of it.
keep track of that. Yeah, and be like, I cannot spend more than this.
One of the things, Carlos, when you were talking about that challenge, it started making me think about my main checking account has its, and I know all kinds of banks have this feature. My checking account rounds up every charge I do and deposits the change into my savings
Keep
account.
the change.
Keep the
Yeah,
change.
there
And
you
it doesn't add, you're not going to have $1,356 probably. I don't think I swiped my card that much. But every little bit that goes into my savings, or you can set up automatic every time you get paid or whatever, you can have an automatic transfer into a savings account. And so when a couple of years ago, I was a bartender and I opened a separate checking account, and everything I made from working at the bar, I didn't put in my main checking account. I put into a separate checking account so that if I wanted to do fun stuff or save that money or transfer it to my savings, because it wasn't going towards my bills, it was just I had extra time and I wanted a little extra money. So I put it in a separate account so I could see where I was spending that fun stuff. Or if I said, okay, I want to spend a chunk of this on something, and it wasn't coming out of my everyday. And like you're talking, getting a skill that can help make you money. And I think your generation gets a lot of probably unfair judgment for, oh, I'm sure you just want to do something on the internet, which it's kind of like that generation of kids that all of them want to be gamers. And you're like, well, it's not necessarily realistic for all of you to do that, but it is a reality that if you want to not just for entertainment purposes sit around and play video games all day, but if you want to find out the ins and outs of how you would do this to make some money, it's there. It's an opportunity for you. And we live in a world, I think, that there's more opportunity than there ever has been to make money at almost anything and any skill that you have. And I for several years was part of network marketing, various companies, and one of the guys was talking about, like, you also have to determine what, like, your not worth per se financially, but kind of what your hourly rate is. And if this is something that if it takes me 2 hours to do something, but I can pay somebody else and it'll take them less time, is it like you were talking about, like when you give your time to something, like It's almost like you have to choose time or money. And sometimes you have to kind of say, okay, that amount of time, I could be making this much money if I did something else instead. So instead of spending my time on that, I'm going to spend my money on it and spend my time on something. Like you kind of...
That's a boss mindset.
Yeah.
You know, you'd rather have 100% or sorry, 1% of 100 people's effort than 100% of your own. Mm-hmm. Because your effort makes more money. So you need to devote your effort to other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's amazing. Now let's dive in a little bit even deeper. How about for the people that are couples? People that are so, for example, you know, we have Chris here is married, and then Tristan has his girlfriend. What about when it goes to going out and things like that? What are ways that you probably would say, hey, you know what, we can still have amount of fun interacting, but being on the more conservative side? Do you have any pointers, Tristan, that besides watching a Chiefs game, because that saves a lot of money?
That cost a lot of money to go to Chiefs games, even more. Nothing really comes to mind except, like, you know, if we're going on a date, going out to eat, you know, maybe instead of y'all two, you know, buying two separate big meals, you can just order like one steak for the both of y'all, just split it in half, or, you know, whatever, something like that, where you can, like, hey, maybe we can save, you know,
Tristan's
$10
gonna go far.
here.
He's gonna go far.
I'm telling you, we need to look him up in like 15, 20 years and be like, how's it going?
Oh man, I hope so.
Yeah, we do something similar. We'll usually like maybe get an appetizer and then just a single entree.
Yeah.
Share both things.
And it can get expensive, especially I did it at Texas Roadhouse the other day. That was really expensive. We didn't do that time, but, you know, should have.
Tell us about it. How expensive? Tell us about it.
It was like $75.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Groupon.
And that's where I was just looking, and I was like, we both could have, you know, eaten, because she had some leftovers. I'm like, man, with the amount I eat, and we both could have gotten one entree, you know.
I mean, I've had some anniversary, you know, special dinners that we knew going in. I mean, that's the thing, you know, going into it. Like, we're prepared to spend. We know we're going somewhere very nice, and we know it's going to be very expensive, and we're okay with that. We've prepared for it. And that's one thing. I mean, if you're just out doing on first dates or, you know, random dates and dropping $100 on the date,
it's
like,
a bad precedent you're setting.
Oh yeah.
She gonna have some expectations.
That's right.
But I know.
And then she tells you we're just friends.
But we've also had some major milestone dates that are just, I'm cooking a steak and we're having a baked potato at home and couch and Netflix. You know, like, I mean, when it's love, man, it doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to be, yeah.
Right. Love don't cost a thing.
Yeah, those are good points. I mean, especially out there, if you are, especially at home, you could pop a movie, rent a movie, you watch. I don't know. You can go through Hulu, Netflix, Apple TV, you name it, Amazon Prime. Cook a dinner, save yourself $20-$30 there, plate for two. Yeah, I mean, you're set. I mean, you can get you a little thing of chicken. You can get some chicken there that are $5-$6. Throw it in the oven, make a nice little salad. You can, you know, apple pecan salad there with some spinach, a little bit of raspberry vinaigrette. You name it. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
And you know, a walk in the park is free.
It's
you know,
just now getting nice now.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's certain times of year you can do that and that are better for sure. But I mean, things like that, again, also a healthier lifestyle too. You know, going for a walk after a home cooked meal is a nice way to talk and chat, and you're not influxed with a bunch of people and needs, so you can really focus. So there's a lot of ways to save, especially when dating. I think, like, I don't know. I mean, even going out to dinner shouldn't necessarily be a regular date thing, in my opinion, because there's too much going on. You don't get to really focus on each other, and then you're just spending a lot of money, and that's usually creates some form of tension in somebody somewhere.
Who's gonna pay?
Yeah, or I paid for this. What are you? You know, I mean, there's tension. I'm not saying that people
You're talking about the dessert, right?
I'm just saying that you can get into all kinds of things there. So.
You were talking about couples, and while this doesn't apply to my life, I know in the future when I'm in a relationship, it's something I heard Steve Harvey on, I'm sure it's some random Facebook video the other day. He was saying couples should have 5 accounts together. One pays your bills, you both contribute to it. Okay. So that's the one that you both put whatever your percentage that you both agree upon that pays all your bills. You have one that's just savings. Again, you both agree upon what goes from each of you to it. You have one account that's for investing, that you do whatever you, again, agreed upon, that goes towards investing, and one account for him for whatever his wants that he doesn't need her permission for, and she gets an account to spend, again, agreed upon amounts that go into, but that she doesn't have to ask his permission for. And I was like, that is so smart. I feel like that would help so many couples kind of relieve that tension of, can we afford this? Who's paying for it? Like, if you just have that agreed upon amount, and it's not about, well, this is my money, and that you have those separate accounts that each of you can spend. Again, you have to decide what goes into it. I'm sure that can create its own issues, but if you have your own account that you don't feel like, well, this is shared money, I don't know if I should spend it, or I have to call and ask first. If you have that money that's your own, that, again, like the envelope, when it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone, yep.
It is what it is. And I thought, that's a really smart way to kind of, as much as you can, prevent those arguments. Because don't they say that, like, money
55%
is like the number one thing that causes, like, fights,
Divorce.
arguments, divorce, all of it in
Well,
relationships.
I it's really just as long as they both can agree on how it's being settled. Because I know like my wife and I, we share all of our money, like everything.
Bless your heart. I'm so happy for you.
But I have friends that have zero shit, like completely like they both have completely separate accounts. When it's mortgage time, they both put in their half of the mortgage. They both put in their half of the electric bills, and everything is separate. Like they're literally living like roommates would, I would say, financially speaking,
Right,
at least.
right.
Not, I assume not otherwise speaking. But so I think there's a big middle, but the biggest key to me is agreement on how it is. And that's a great compromise. Having the multiple accounts would be a great compromise, but it really comes down to agreement and the communication of what how those dollars are working. Like,
absolutely. So a simpler way that I've used in the past, the Steve Harvey way, it was 3 accounts. All right, I had my direct deposit into my account. She had hers into her account. Then we had a percentage we agreed into the joint account. Now, the joint account was mortgage, utilities, entertainment, going out to eat, and fun. Obviously, the bills had to come first, but then if I wanted to buy a pair of shoes or a car part, or I wanted to buy a bottle of bourbon, I didn't have to ask because that came out of what was left over in my money, right? And if she wanted a bag or to go see her mom or something, that came out of that. And so that stopped a little bit of fights too. But I think the biggest thing, I will foot stomp this, the biggest thing about couples and money is communication.
Yep.
You have to have those talks early and often, because that way there's no confusion. Everybody's on the same page. There's no surprises, and it stops the money fights. Because if somebody walks away from a money fight not happy, it's going to come back. It always does.
We're going to have a House of Gucci problem.
Yes, exactly.
And those are all well taken points. I mean, Dristin, have you decided how you and you're going to go ahead and split up when it comes to finances?
Not yet. We're not yet.
Wait
there
to be
yet.
seen, right?
Yeah.
Wait to remain to be seen. Okay. We'll keep you posted on that. Well,
I'll throw another book in there too.
Yeah, go for it.
For couples, because I used to read a lot of books. Smart Couples Finish Rich. David Bach, I think is the guy's name. I have it on Audible. I also have it in paperback. That's a good one. And then Retire Inspired by, I think, Chris Hogan. That's a Dave Ramsey guy as well. Another good book for those readers out there.
well points. Those are all well points. Well, now that we're getting really we're coming to a point to where we don't know what's going to happen right now. I mean, with the wars going on, with
COVID,
prices, gas, and everything going up. What are the maybe a key point? And I'm gonna start this with Lisa. What is your key point going forward? What is something that you've already had to make an adjustment to be prepared?
To be prepared, like, for the future of the unknown. I think, being a single parent, it's a complete different life than when you don't have kids. Those of us that have kids in the room, we know before you had kids, you're like, oh, those were the days. In some ways, of course, we all love and cherish our children and wouldn't trade them for anything on the planet. But you still have those moments of, oh, so nice to just go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, do whatever I wanted, and not have to have this great piece of love to carry with me everywhere I go. So I think for me, it's shifted a lot, you know, as my son's coming up on turning 2 here in a couple weeks. Just honestly, it's him first. It's not about me. And, you know, for years I worked, in a medical office, running a medical office. And, you know, I just joked with my sister that my wardrobe was so incredibly different than it is now. You know, then I was worried about having nice clothes, making sure they were all, you know, up to date. Yeah. And, you know, and I mean, there was nothing wrong with that. You know, I was a single person. It didn't matter. I could spend what I wanted, where I wanted. I had nobody to answer to. It's great. But, you know, then COVID hit and I work from home all the time and have a toddler. So I wear clothes that I don't care if they get food stains and things on them, because I'm not going to wear my nice office clothes. First of all, around the house, they're not comfortable. Second of all, I don't want to stain them up. But, you know, really, when you become a parent, figuring out what you have to do to take care of your kid first. You know, there's all those, you know, different paintings and artists that create things that show like the parent who's missing the piece of the puzzle out of their body and they're putting it in their kid. Like that's what you do. You figure out how to put your kid first. So I think for me, it's just, making sure no matter what, that my son has his basic needs taken care of, because mine are pretty easy. And I know that, you know, when it comes to like, if it came down to it, I'm going to go hungry before he does. That's just how it goes as a parent. So I think just making sure that my son is taken care of.
What was the question?
What are you prepared for the future? What are you
Prepared
doing
for
now?
the yeah, I've done a few things with the future in mind. Getting involved more with investment stuff. Didn't never really see that as a thing other than like, oh yeah, works putting a 401k, sounds good, whatever. But, you know, getting more involved with actual stocks and investing, things like that, retirement type stuff, and life insurance, things like that. And now, you know, being over 40, you got to start thinking about things like living wills and what happens in case of XYZ with the things that I do somewhat own parts of, like a house. So that's, I mean, those are the things that I've been thinking about future wise for me lately.
And the big thing with me is, like I said earlier, investing in yourself, you know, learning a skill, or, you know, and going on that, one thing I didn't say was like, every time people like hear the word depth, they automatically think, oh, depth is bad, and let's avoid that. There can be types of good depth, such as, you know, like with me going to college.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's good depth, because in return, I'm going to have a good paying job, or, you know,
education.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where
Just the knowledge.
it won't
Mm-hmm.
be bad, you know. And you know, if you're gonna buy something for $1,000 and you're gonna buy it anyway, you know, you could have a credit card that gives like 5% cash back. If you're gonna buy it anyway, you might as well put on a credit card, as long as you can afford it, you know, and you'll be able to pay it in full. But, you know, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, and don't look at your depth and see, hey, is this good depth that can, you know, ultimately help me, or is this going to be depth that I'm never going to get out of? So
I think for me, personally, just recently this week, seeing the gas price, I sold my diesel truck just because the expenses were just wild. The fuel prices were more expensive than the truck payment, so that just doesn't make
That
sense
doesn't
there.
make sense.
So got rid of that, just lowering my expenses, my consumable expenses, like going out to eat as much, drinking at bars. Instead, I'll buy a bottle and drink at my house with my friends. You know, plane tickets to go see my family. My sister lives in Minnesota, and I'm going to be an uncle.
You're going to have a
year.
nephew.
Yes, hopefully. A niece. We find out April 8th. We find out April 9th. April 9th we
That's
find
this
out.
week.
It is. Yeah, I fly out Wednesday. Shout out to Skip Lagged, the Hopper app, stuff like that, to find you cheap flights, because it's a 9-hour drive if you drive it, and I've done it twice, not this time. Also, just lowering expenses, being a smart consumer, like Lisa touched on earlier, making food at home, using my air fryer, which is my favorite thing, because that also, not only did it help me save money, it helped me lower my cholesterol, because I cook chicken in there instead of having fried chicken. It's in the air fryer, and it's healthier.
Still tasty though,
and still very tasty. Just being smarter about my spending, and just trying to do better every day. 1% better every day, and you're better. So that's what I got, Carlos.
I wish I could say the same for your team, but here's the deal.
Salary cap.
No, you guys, that's amazing. Also, I was gonna say is that I'm just so thankful that even though I'm almost approaching 40, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm happy that reality kicked in, and especially for my kids, it's something that I stress upon them. I tell them, hey, save your money. Don't spend it all on one deal. Especially like with my oldest daughter, she's living out on her own now. And, I just tell her, learn to cook, also be conservative on what you're spending. There's no need for you to overspend. And if there's something that you can wait for, like what Tristan was saying, just break it up. If you want to do it upon credit and you're going to pay back, that will work as well.
As long as you're disciplined.
Exactly.
You have to be disciplined for that.
Very disciplined.
And back to the gas thing. Okay, if you're rolling V8s and up on vehicles, hey, if it's an investment, you have to put gas to go to point A to point B. Okay, so be it. Don't be that guy that puts $5-6 and then got to go back to the gas station.
Hey, it was $130 a pop, and I was like,
wow.
Nope.
All right, yeah, nope.
In our town, we have the Quit Trips. I don't know, because I know all our friends out in the West Coast, they don't have a Quit Trip. I don't know if Shell or Chevron, do they have points?
I mean, they might.
Most places do anymore, just to be able to send you marketing crap.
Right.
Have some sort of point system to get you.
Out west, diesel was $10 a gallon, so it doesn't matter what points you have.
It don't matter what kind of points
expensive.
you have.
No, it's just not enough. Well, we're coming to the conclusion. We're going to have a new final. It's called the Cutting Edge. But before we introduce, let's go ahead and give a quick pause and thank our following sponsors.
Have you ever looked at your windshield and saw a chip or even a small crack, and you wonder what you could do to prevent future problems? Well, luckily here in Wichita, there's a company called Clear Visions. It's a locally owned and operated company, and they'll even show up on site. So even if you're at a birthday party, restaurant, whatnot, it doesn't take very long. So please give them a call, 316-258-9654, to help prevent future cracks or even shatters of your windshield. I got mine taken care of, and it didn't cost me hardly a thing in comparison to a new windshield. So please give them a call today. The number is 316-258-9654.
All right, you guys. So we learned a lot of things. That's amazing. And hopefully the audience was able to get something out of this. And please feel free, like, subscribe. Also, jot down. Tell us what you think. If you have any suggestions out for the Razor Cut Information family, especially the Cutting Crew, tell us what are your thoughts. So the final thought, the cutting edge thought. I'm going to start this off with you, Eric. What's one suggestion you could give out to our listeners?
Have an emergency fund. I think that was the biggest thing that changed my life. To start off my debt-free journey to get there was having an emergency fund. I didn't know what that was. I didn't even have a savings account, but an emergency fund really sets your foundation right for you to be able to make your money work for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with an emergency fund too, because I didn't think of that. But, having an emergency fund is important. Anything could happen, or like Ramsey calls it, a rainy day fund. You don't know what will happen or what can happen, so have a couple months of, rent saved up, or for anything, any scenario.
Be self-sustaining. Just that. If you can make coffee, make your own coffee. If you can make your own lunch, make your own lunch. Do as much for yourself as you can, because the more you do for yourself, the more you do for yourself.
I like that.
Absolutely. I like all these. I guess mine would be a phrase I've used. I used to do Monday sort of motivational videos every week, and it's something I always ended with, and it was be on purpose. So whatever, for having your emergency fund, that's also being on purpose, but with your spending, with your, for whatever it's for when you can, as much as you can, be aware and be on purpose with what you're doing and how you're spending.
Awesome. That's just amazing. I'm going to say overall, you guys take a sit, have a seat, take a deep breath, get educated. And when I say educate, I don't mean necessarily go to school for it. What I'm saying is just when you have the opportunity, just sit down, have a nice relax, calm. I don't know what's the other word I would use, but just really look at where you want to be. Because like I said, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know what's going to happen. And especially for us to have family, for the ones that are just, in their relationship, and for our single, you guys, we have to be prepared for anything. And the thing is, don't be afraid to ask. Get educated in the sense of go out there, listen to people, go to your local banks, go to people that are people that have experience in these finances, close friends, whoever.
Mentors.
You want to knock out, I'm over here reading something. You want to overall get the information you need, because like I said, we're not getting any younger. And if we're going to go out there and have these aspiration dreams of being able to get a house, or if you just a vehicle, whatever, you name it, you want to be prepared going in. Because if you don't want to take the time to learn and then something happens, what are you going to do? You're stuck. So we the Kuttin Krew, we're just telling you guys, we're not saying we're experts here, but we're just here because we're coming from different walks of life. You guys, just know that you are the tool at the end of the day. You are the main person, the drive. You're the one that is invested. You're the one that's giving your time, and you have everything you need to go with your foot forward and being able to go on this journey of financial freedom, or being able to, whatever the case is going to be, or whatever you want to do. But just overall, you guys, all I'm just saying is just get the information. We told you guys some books out there. We encourage you to read, also websites, and yeah, that's where I'm coming from on that.
Nice.
All right. Well, any final shout outs before we go?
Of course, always to my brothers and sisters in arms, everybody in the armed forces, the people in Ukraine. Keep fighting the good fight, keep doing the good thing, and things will get better.
Yeah, shout out to my my girlfriend and my family for always being there for me, and that's all.
Shout out to my wife and family as well. Thanks for listening, guys. My friends at work, Keenan, big shout out to you, and Jeff, thanks for listening, guys.
Shout out to my main squeeze, my son Leaf, and my sister who watches him so I can be here.
Amazing. Well, first and foremost, I want to give you guys personal shout out. Thank you for just being here. That's amazing. Today was an amazing
awesome.
show.
This was good.
We always want to thank the people behind our scenes. Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
Pal. Thank you to the audience as well. And then I'm going to go as fast as I can. So we're going to go from the far left to the west coast. I want to shout out to my friend Marie and her family. Looking forward to seeing her pretty soon out in California. My friends in Vegas, Yoli and Brandon. Hope you guys are doing well. And also, we're going to move over to the south in Texas. We want to give a quick shout out to Sabrina and family. Hope you guys are doing well as well. And the friends and family, I want to say thank you for encouraging me to still be in here. And also, just thank you guys to the audience for being here. So, other than that, please feel free to tune in to us. We also have our sports show. We're going to be dwindling down to the Final Four. So, we will do the Sports Fellas. We will cover the NCAA Final. And then we will also do the NFL Draft. So, be prepared on that as well. And then we will do a special edition of the World Cup. So, the seeding has already started. So, all the soccer fans, we'll be talking about that. Also, we have a new Wichita Vice. We'll be talking about Morbius and the characters there.
Deacon
and also
Frost, Blade.
Deacon Frost, Blade, and Hunger. Doesn't sound as scary, but he's pretty scary. Mm-hmm. And also, Silver Cosmo movie reviews. We will be doing Escape from New York and as well Morbius. So in that, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to hearing from the next episode. We're out.